The twin suns of Aurelius glimmered like liquid gold upon the citadel domes of the Corinthian Empire, bathing the marble towers in an amber glow. The air shimmered with the hum of grav-trams, and banners of silver and crimson rippled along the imperial spires. It was the season of the Great Conquest Parade, when the spoils of conquest were displayed before the royal court, and prisoners from the outer worlds were presented to the Empress herself. For the citizens of Aurelius, it was a spectacle of pride. For those brought in chains, it was humiliation. Among the prisoners this year was a human. He stood out even among the hundreds of alien captives. Tall, broad-shouldered, with dark hair and eyes that carried a kind of quiet defiance. His name was Cale Mercer, a captain of the Terran Defense Fleet, captured during the fall of Vega Outpost 3. The Empire's soldiers had dragged him across half the galaxy to stand before the Empress of Aurelius, a woman rumored to be part goddess, part executioner. The hall of the Empress was a cathedral of light and sound. The marble floor was polished to mirror brightness, and crystalline columns reached skyward like frozen lightning. The Empress herself sat upon a throne carved from a single meteorite, her robes glistening with woven starlight. Beside her stood her daughter, Princess Lyra, the only heir to the Corinthian throne. Lyra was unlike her mother in every possible way. Where the Empress was stern and cold as the void, Lyra was curious, even compassionate. Her golden eyes shimmered with a strange warmth, and she often wandered beyond the palace walls to mingle, disguised among the lower citizens. The court whispered that she was too soft to rule. The Empress called it weakness. As the parade of captives began, Cale was brought forward by two towering guards clad in obsidian armor. The chamber fell silent. "This one," announced the Grand Marshal, "is the Terran who commanded the resistance at Vega Outpost 3. His defiance cost the Empire 2 dreadnoughts and a month's delay in the conquest." The Empress tilted her head, examining the human as if he were some peculiar animal. "A defiant species," she murmured. "And yet fragile." Cale lifted his chin, meeting her gaze. "We're fragile, yes. But we don't kneel easily." A ripple of laughter ran through the court, nervous, uncertain. The Empress's lips curved into a cold smile. "You will. Eventually." And then, from beside her, a soft voice spoke. "Mother, I want this one." The hall froze. Every noble, every guard, every servant turned to stare at the princess. Her voice was calm, almost innocent, but it struck the air like a thunderclap. The Empress blinked. "What did you say?" Lyra's golden eyes met Cale's. "I said I want this human. As my companion." Gasps echoed through the chamber. A dozen courtiers nearly dropped their crystal goblets. To request a prisoner of war, especially a human, was unthinkable. The Empress studied her daughter for a long, dangerous moment. "Lyra," she said quietly, "you understand the implications?" "Yes, Mother." Lyra's voice was steady. "I've studied humans. Their resilience, their adaptability. This one led a resistance against impossible odds. I wish to learn from him." The Empress's gaze lingered on Cale again. Then she waved a jeweled hand. "Very well. The human is yours. But remember, daughter, pet or study subject, it makes no difference. He remains property of the Empire." Lyra bowed. Cale was stunned. Property. Companion. What game was this princess playing? Part 2. The Cage of Starlight. Lyra's private quarters were unlike anything Cale had ever seen. Floating gardens hung in zero-gravity spheres. Holographic constellations danced across the ceiling. But beyond all the wonder, Cale felt the invisible walls of his captivity. "Why did you ask for me?" he demanded as the guards left him alone with her. To humiliate me further. Lyra turned from the viewport, her long silver hair catching the light of distant stars. I asked for you because I saw something in your eyes, she said softly. You didn't break. Would you have preferred I begged? I would have been disappointed if you had. Days passed, and Kale remained within her chambers, technically a prisoner but treated with unexpected kindness. Lyra asked him endless questions. About Earth, about humanity, about the strange thing he called freedom. At first, Kale refused to answer. But over time he found himself talking. About oceans, music, and the smell of rain. About cities that glowed not with starlight but with the warmth of life. Lyra listened, fascinated. Your world sounds imperfect, but alive. Here everything is perfect, controlled. I sometimes wonder if perfection is just another kind of prison. Kale studied her. You don't believe in your empire. I believe in duty, she said. But I don't believe duty should mean silence. Part 3. Seeds of Rebellion. Over the weeks, their conversations turned dangerous. Lyra began sneaking Kale into the Imperial archives, vast databanks of forbidden knowledge. The Empress doesn't know half of what her scientists have uncovered, she whispered. There are ancient warnings here, about overreaching power, about civilizations that fell because they forgot mercy. Kale saw in her a spark, a defiance as fierce as his own. And Lyra saw in him something she had never known. Honesty untempered by fear. But secrets have gravity. And soon the Empress began to suspect. Daughter, she said one evening during the celestial banquet, I've noticed you spend much time with your pet. Lyra met her mother's gaze evenly. He's no pet, Mother. He's a teacher. A teacher. The Empress's tone was almost amused. Of rebellion, perhaps. Lyra said nothing. Silence was answer enough. The Empress's eyes hardened. Do not mistake curiosity for courage, child. I built this empire on the bones of those who questioned me. Lyra bowed. But inside her, something had already begun to fracture. Part 4. The escape. It was Kale who found the flaw, the old maintenance tunnels beneath the palace. If we reach the hangar, I can steal a shuttle, he whispered one night. Lyra hesitated. If we're caught, you'll lose your title, Kale finished. I know. No, she said. I'll lose my life. Still she helped him. On the night of the twin moons eclipse, they made their move. Lyra disguised herself in a soldier's uniform, leading Kale through corridors veined with light. The palace was eerily silent, as if holding its breath. They reached the hangar. A sleek patrol craft waited, unguarded, almost inviting. But before they could board, a voice echoed through the chamber. Going somewhere, my daughter. The Empress emerged from the shadows, surrounded by royal guards. Her gaze was colder than the void. You disappoint me, Lyra. I gave you everything. And you took everything from everyone else, Lyra shot back. You call it order. I call it slavery. The Empress raised a hand. Seize them. Kale grabbed Lyra's wrist and fired the shuttle's thrusters. The hangar exploded into chaos. Guards shouted, plasma bolts ripped through the air, and the shuttle blasted through the magnetic barrier into the night sky. Hold on! Kale yelled as the ship shuddered under fire. They dodged the palace defense drones, weaving through the twin moons' glare. For a moment it seemed they might make it. Then a plasma bolt struck the hull. The shuttle spun out of control, flames licking its engines. Kale struggled with the controls, barely managing to crash land on the barren surface of the moon Iodrine. The ship skidded to a halt, smoke rising from its shattered wings. Are you hurt? Kale gasped. Lyra shook her head, dazed. No, but they'll come for us. He looked toward the stars. Then we run. Part 5. The choice. They wandered the moon's icy canyons, hunted by Imperial drones. Lyra's royal beacon had been disabled, but it was only a matter of time before they were found. You could leave me, she said quietly as they sheltered in a frozen cave. You'd survive longer. Kale laughed bitterly. You saved my life. You think I'm walking away now? Lyra smiled faintly. You humans are strange. Maybe that's why you wanted one. Outside, the hum of search craft grew louder. Lyra looked toward the stars, then back at him. Kale, if they capture us, they'll destroy you. But if I surrender, maybe I can. No, he cut her off. You've already given enough. She took a deep breath. There might be another way. From beneath her cloak, she revealed a crystalline device, a miniature quantum key. It's tied to the Imperial command grid. If I destroy it, the Empire's control systems will collapse for minutes, enough to spark revolt on dozens of worlds. Kale stared. You'd bring down your mother's empire. I'd give it a chance to be reborn. Before he could speak, the sound of engines thundered above them. Imperial dropships. They were out of time. Lyra activated the key. It pulsed with blinding light. Lyra! She smiled through the glow. Tell them we weren't all monsters. The light engulfed her. The mountains shook. The command grid across half the empire flickered and died. On distant worlds, prisoners rose. Slaves shattered their chains. The Corinthian Empire trembled for the first time in 1,000 years. When Kale awoke, the cave was silent. The key was gone. Lyra was gone. Only her insignia remained, a fragment of royal silver lying in the dust. Epilogue. The whisper of stars. Years passed. The rebellion spread, and the empire fractured into free systems. Legends grew around the story of a human and a princess who defied the Empress. Some said the princess died on Iodrine. Others claimed she became light itself, guiding lost ships through the void. Kale never returned to Earth. He traveled from world to world, helping rebuild what tyranny had destroyed. But at night, when he looked to the twin sons of Aurelice, he remembered her voice, her defiance, her impossible compassion. And in the ruins of the old empire, the people still whispered the words that started it all. Mother, I want this human. And the universe was never the same again.